Welcome to our WatchKit app from Edgeonics. My name is Brett, and in this lesson we're going to learn about notifications. And the way we interact with these notifications as far as testing them is going to be very similar to what we did with the glance. So at the top we have our glance, we also have our notification. So again, these are automatically available in Xcode 7 if you selected notification and glance when you're creating your project. And then we have a notification controller, just like we have our glance controller. So this is our notification controller. Right now there's nothing in it. Now to test this, to get data into it, down here in supporting files, open that and there's an APNS file. So this is the APNS file. And it is going to display the information inside of our notification. So back in the storyboard, down here we have static and dynamic notifications. Notice also our icon is displaying there. If we didn't have the watch icon that we created, then it would just be like a white circle that would display here. Now as far as the dynamic interface, the operating system, WatchOS, is going to determine which one to use, and it's going to be based on how much different things that are going on inside the Watch app that are kind of out of our control. It could be battery life. It could be how long is this interface taking to load up. So it will mainly default to the static interface. And back in this APNS file, we've got test message, optional title. This is a category that we can send in. We've got first button. So if I run this interface as it is with all the default settings, we'll see some of this come through inside of the simulator. So that is going to start up here in just a second. Here it is. So you can see the body, test message, and our button. If I dismiss, we go right back into the watch. So we don't go into our app, we just go back onto the home page, and I'm going to run this one more time and see what happens when we click first button. So I click first button. Now we'll go into our app. So that's a similarity with the glance. So what I want to do is capture us coming into the application, and I'm going to put a new mark here for notification. And then we're going to have this method handle action with identifier. So that's going to be a remote notification and not this local. So in here I'm going to do let data equal, and I can do remote notification. I'm going to access my key. So we haven't added this, and I'm going to have to go back and add that here in a little bit as string and print data. And so inside of here we have this key. There's a lot going on there, but we can add our own key, and I am going to do my key. So this is a dictionary test from APNS file. Now one thing to note here, as you add more of these keys in this data for your testing, separate them with a comma, because if you don't add the comma, you'll get a weird crash, and it might be hard to track down if you're not sure why it's happening, because it's a kind of a nondescript error. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and let that run. So this is on the notification, and I'll let this run now. So everything builds. It looks like our app is going to launch, and we get this really nondescript SP error unknown message. And that is related to not having that comma separating our next dictionary entry. So I've got that entry now, and inside of our interface controller we are looking for that key, and we should see it print out. So I am going to, here's our debugger down there at the bottom, and if I bring up the simulator, so I'll click first button, and you can see here test from APNS file. So that was just a click on our button rather than a dismiss, and we go back out into the home page. So right here is where we're at with this now. And if we go back into our notification controller, there are some things we can do down here. So we did receive remote notification, so we can kind of make a stop on the way. So this method here is called when a remote notification needs to be presented. So this is a little bit of information that they give you about it. Implemented if you use dynamic notification interface. So populate your dynamic interface as quickly as possible. And I'm going to put a breakpoint so we can see this in action. And so if I start this up, this is going to get hit immediately in our notification. There it is. And I'll let that run through. So you have the opportunity to do some things here with the dynamic interface. And I'm just going to go into our Watch app, the first button, and there we are. So that is how notifications work, and here is where you would want to populate for your dynamic notification. Again, this is inside of the notification controller.